Hey, what's going on? So I wanted to show you how to run a comp. Now, this is actually one of my properties that I'm selling through another agent in my brokerage. I'm not licensed in Nevada, so I'm going to show you how I would do a comp if I did not have access to the MLS. So if you're trying to figure out how much your house is actually worth, this is how you do it. And I'm going to go through a couple different things. So first thing is we have a 3-bed, 3-bath, and a 1,500 square foot. And so I'm going to come over here, and I'm using Zillow because this is what everybody has access to, right? Everybody on planet Earth has access to Zillow. You can use realtor.com. You can use pretty much any other platform. I like Zillow for this. It's just because this is what I learned to use when I first started investing. Now, I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to use exact match. Now, I know this is a 3-bedroom, so I'm going to start here. I'm going to add in 2 plus bedrooms. So actually, I'll do 2 plus bedrooms instead of exact match. And I know that this is a 2.5 bath, so I will do 2 plus bathrooms. Now, if there's another platform that you're using that you can do an exact, I would ideally do from plus or minus 1. So 2 to 4, right? So no more than 4 and no less than 2. Same thing on the bathrooms, right? So we have 2.5 baths, so I do 1.5. Maybe I'll just do 1.5 here, plus to maybe 3.5, right? So we go ahead and apply that. The next thing is you're going to drill down to the type of home that this actually is, right? So we know that this is a townhouse. That's the only kind of house that we care about. And the next thing is square feet. So if you're going to run square feet, you'll want to do it within a range. Now, I know this is about 1,508 square feet. Again, if you can use a more precise measurement, then generally speaking, you want to go about 200 up to 200 on either side. 250 works as well. So I'm going to say, okay, so we got 1,500. I'm going to go down to 1,250, and I'm going to go up to 1,750. Now, lot size in this case doesn't matter because this is a townhouse, so the lot size is pretty much not going to be existent. Now, years built, and I didn't actually pull that up on here. This one was built in 2001. So we're going to do plus or minus 10 years. So 1991 all the way up to 2011. I'm going to, in this case, hide 55 plus communities because this is not a 55 plus community. And must have an AC. Actually, we can skip this because even though it should have it on there, it may not for some reason. Now, this is the important thing. We're going to focus on sold in the last 90 days. Now, for some reason, there aren't enough, right? Which you can see here. There's not enough in here. Then we can come to 6 months or even 12 months to determine the overall value. And then we have to look at some of the market data. So I'm going to go 90 days because we're going to do some other things in here, and I'm going to show you how this is going to work, right? So these filters are all set. We're going to save this, and I'm going to back out. Now, one of the things that I learned early on, you want to focus in, if you can, right? So in this one right here, we have this boundary of these major streets right here, right? So these are fairly big streets. Fairly major streets. Now, I know that there's not enough in here, right? So if I hit apply, there's just the one. So I'm going to remove this boundary. Now, let's say there's not enough in here. I would rather go wider here than I would rather increase the time to sold, right? So I'd rather stay within this 90 days sold. The other thing I can include if I had a different tool, like if you're working with a realtor, they'll look at pendings as well, things that are pending. So, right, I can come in here and I can draw the larger boundary, right? So the next larger boundary is this boundary right here. And basically anything within this boundary right here. Now, again, we're out of that zone. We only had this one in here. So we can go one step further. Come on, let's back out. There we go. So I can look at this here and go, okay, well, I know this area pretty well. Once you get past here, you really are out of this kind of area. This is a whole different area. As a matter of fact, we own another house over down here. So this area, and kind of stopping at Green Valley all the way north over to the 515, that's really the max spot. So if I really wanted to come, I'd come over here, drop this down, again, pull that over, and then I'm going to come up. Now I could draw a little bit better, right? If I know that there's some properties over here or whatnot, I might draw that a little bit better. But right now we have 3 houses that have sold recently that are within our parameters, so to speak. So we've got it looks like possibly so a couple extra down here as well that they could be, but we're not going to look at those. So these 3 right here. So this is 1263. Similar, in a similar location. Now this is basically the same exact house outlay, just not upgraded, right? So this is the original, all the original stuff from what I can tell. So 355. And we have another for 325. Now, what we're looking at here is a couple of things. So we're looking at the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, the square footage, and then any kind of amenities like a pool, whatnot, that we have. So if I come in here, I go to sheet.new and I create a new spreadsheet. We're going to put together address, bed, bath, square foot, pool, because I know I have a pool, so in this case I'm going to care about the pool, garage, and HOA, which is a negative technically, and price or asking. Right, so this is the address. I know it's a 3-bed, 2.5 bath. It is 1,508 square feet. There's a community pool. There is a 1-car garage and 101 HOA. Price is $375. I'm just going to round up there. Okay. So the next one is this one over here. We also have sold date. That's another really important thing, right? So especially if we're going out further, we want to take those that are sold, right? So if I come in here and say, you know what, I'm going to go from there, I'm going to go all the way out to 12 months. That gives me a lot more, and I might even redraw my boundary here to make sure that I captured all of the ones that were on the side there, right? So now I want to make sure that I'm not getting anything on the on that other side of that freeway. So I might have to remove something, right? So I might have to remove this right here. That's not going to go into my calculations. It's on the other side of the freeway. That's like being on the other side of the track. Does not count. Right? So with this, though, I also have way more. So I might even just pop in and say, you know what? I'm going to go within a slightly smaller boundary. This is a sub, right? So each one of these, this right here is a neighborhood, and then this larger area is a neighborhood, and then this larger area is a neighborhood, and then this whole larger area is also its own kind of neighborhood, right? So that gives me a lot more options, but some of these haven't sold for the last, it took longer, more, they didn't sell recently. They were 6 months or 12 months. So first I'm going to start with the 3 that we have here. And to make this simple, do this. All right, so we have two 218, right? So this is a 2-bed, 2.5 bath. Most likely, I can double check that, but that's 2.5 bath. Yep. It is 1263. Question is there a community pool? There is a community pool. And a 1-car garage. Trying to find the HOA information. Home details. Oh, there we go. Should be in here. There it is. 95. So 95. And it sold for $330. Now I technically want to make sure that these are in here. $330. Okay. So 203, and I would put the full address in here. I'm just being a little lazy at the moment. So 3-bed and 2.5 bath, 2.5 bath. We have 1297. I don't see a community pool on here. Doesn't mean there isn't one. HOA, oops. Clicked on an ad. HOA is 115. 115. It is also a 1-car garage. And community association management, no pool from what I see. So nope. And they got 325,000. So if we look at this, it's actually interesting. The one with the no community pool is actually a little bit more. So one thing we can do is price per square foot equals this divided by this. Okay, that actually makes a bit of sense here. So if I was to guess, a pool has an approximate value of maybe $5,000 to $10,000. Whereas, right, so both of these are going pretty much, oh, well, that's the other, that's my unit. So let's pull up this one. Oops, what happened? There, it's a 3-bed, 2.5 bath. The other thing I'll do is sold in. So 90 days, 90 days, 90 days. This has a 1,508 square foot. So it's the same as my property. So I'm going to pop this over here. All right, I'm going to bring this down. 1-car garage, HOA is going to be 101, and this was 355,000. Sold in the last 90 days. This is active. Right. All right, so now we can come back in and say, all right, well, we have those. Actually, let me go back a bit because it looks like I There we go. So now I'm going to go to 6 months. And we have a couple more. All right, so first things first, do we have any more in here? We do not. We have a few more over here. So 1285. F3 2.5. 1375. I'm just going to leave this blank for now. This is a 1-car garage, it looks like. I'll leave this blank because it's all going to be about the same. Selling is 355. Again, if I was going to go in this, I'd do this a little bit more in depth, but I'm just kind of playing along here. Right? And so this is 180. Okay. So we then have this, which is, oh, no, we already did 218. This looks like it might have been like a short sale or a foreclosure. Sold in 2009 and sold in 2024. This went for way less than what it was worth. So either there was a lot of damage to it, or right, that's this house, where every other house around it is selling for, way more. It's interesting they're saying it's completely redone. So my guess is the way they... okay, I see what this is. This is a rent-to-own situation. They put it in here as a... So we're going to skip this one because it's totally irrelevant. Oops. Okay, that's right. There we go. So this one is completely irrelevant. Let's see. Do we have 613? We do have 613, 218, 205, and 285. 218. Oh, we have 2 of them on 218. So this is another one on 218. This is why you write the full address out, not just the number. 3-bed, 2-bath. Is that an actual 2-bath or a 1? Yep, 2 full baths. Great. And 1311 square feet. Again, I'm going to go with that on the pool. That looks like it's a 2-car garage off just the picture there. HOA 330,000. 180. And the last one is 195. We have a 3-bed. It looks like it. Yep, 2.5. I just did it again. There we go. 3-bed, 2.5 baths. Total is, where'd it go? There it is. 1,537. Don't know about the pool. 1-car garage, you can tell by the picture. Don't know what the actual HOA is, but we got 348. I'm going to round all of these down now. All right, so we can weigh this out and look at these. Now, the reason that we're getting more on ours is there's another one that's pending, and I know this because I was looking at the MLS and working with the agent, right? So this is something that an agent can do for you. Now, if I was looking at just these, and I put this out, right? So let's say I said average of these. So 247. It's not bad, but I didn't weight them. So 180. So I'm going to give this a full weight, right? Where this is going to be really like a 0.75 on each of those. So their value is less, right? So what I come and do is I do this equals average of these three. It's 249, which as you can see, so that really makes sense that our numbers made out to that. I do another average for this, 245. And so if I'm weighting it this way, right, I would weight at, so equals this times the sum of this, and then it's divided by 3. Okay, so 249, which we already know that, but so then it's plus this times the sum of this and it's divided by 6. And I did that wrong. Somewhere I did something wrong. Right, so you might weight it down, right, to not and I think I did my weights wrong on that. This is where my real estate stuff normally comes in. Right, so I kind of come in here. Okay, so we got this is more valuable than this in terms of data. I know that as a market, it's gone up just a tiny little bit over those 3 months difference, and I could base my price here based on 249. Now, I know that there's a couple of other things that I could do, knowing that, let's see, I can remove that. Community pool. Oh, we don't know if that one has a community pool. I think it did. Oh yeah, this one does. This is the same exact property. So that definitely has a community pool. This one doesn't, right? So I might say, oh, well, this one not having a community pool really should add $10,000 to the value that would get this, right? So that's what that community pool would do. Same thing here, right? So when you're adding or subtracting things, right? So this is a 2-bedroom. If I wanted to make this a 3-bedroom, based on what I'm seeing, it would probably come out to about, let's see, what are we looking at for a bedroom? Bedroom might be, this was 25, probably $20,000 for the value of the bedroom. Oops, this should be 50 now. Right, so this is the value of the extra bedroom. Now, it's very, like, you got to really understand a lot of these things. So this really gets into playing with it. Like, okay, how much might somebody be willing to pay, right? So this was the top of the market. So if I do this, so equals the number of square foot times that, and that's the top of the market, which is actually what we were shooting for. So we were shooting for almost 390, and that's what we really wanted to get for it. That's not what we ended up getting. We got, we were in contract at 375. This is what we really wanted. And that's based on a lot of these other factors, right? The community pool adding into it, the extra bedroom, adding into it, the difference in square footage, right, from some of these. So all these things can add or subtract. An extra bathroom can add to it versus, removing a bathroom can subtract from it. So you never subtract from your property, you always subtract or add based on the other properties to make them look similar to what your property would look like. So what would I do to be able to add an extra bedroom and get it up to approximately 1,508 square feet? Oops. So hopefully that's been helpful. That's this is just kind of a simple way to comp and to look at it and be able to figure out, what's my property worth? How much should I actually be getting for my property? And this is based on the current market. So I'm actually going to share one other thing that I think is really important. So this is really, really important. So within the sub niche, in the last 90 days, and you always do 90 days, within the last 90 days, there have been only 3 sales. Now, if I come in here and I change this to for sale, you can see that there are 2 properties currently listed for sale within this area, which is really weird because something is... I got to take out the coming soon. There we go. There we go. It's like these are all here. Right, so this one's pending as well. This one's pending. It's actually not selling it. This is also, by the way, this is one of the things that we looked at when we looked at ours and go, okay, hey, this one's pending. What's ours? What could we potentially get for ours? And since this was pending at $399. So that is all right. And we got another one here at $365. So those are all pending. We've got another 1, 2, 3 here. And let's look for sale. Where do we got? Property status. This one is active. And this one is active. So both of these properties are active, which tells us that we are in a seller's market. Now, it's not a whole lot of seller's market, but there's less than 1 month of inventory in this area. Now, a really easy way to do this, let me zoom out here and say, you know what? I want to look at all of... I want to look at this entire section. This entire section right here. Actually, I should have... Well, that's fine. I'll include the airport, even though I probably shouldn't. Let me cancel this. So I'm going to look at this entire section right here. And we're going to apply. So right in here, there's only a total of 5 houses currently for sale that is not pending, coming soon, or actively under contract. There's 9 if you include the ones that are active. But if we go to sold, there's 11. So again, we're in a seller's market here. Now, how to determine whether you're in a buyer's market, a seller's market, or a neutral market. So a seller's market is there is less than 3 months of inventory. Neutral market is there is between 3 and 6 months, 6 months of inventory. and a buyer's market is that there's 6+ months of inventory. Now, what does this actually mean? This means that if like you sell here and you buy here, if you're selling in a seller's market, you're going to get paid more. You're going to get more negotiation. You're going to get full asking. There's going to be zero contingencies. In a buyer's market, you're going to pay less as a buyer. You're going to be able to ask the seller for contingencies and for concessions. So, for instance, in the offer, one of the offers we got, they wanted us to pay for $5,000 of their closing costs, and we're like, you do realize that we are the seller and this is a seller's market, and the likelihood that we're gonna find somebody else is really, really high. And they came back and were like, okay, never mind, don't worry about it, right? So that's the seller's market. Now, as a buyer, we're actually looking in Florida, and it's somewhere in between here, right? And these are loose numbers, by the way. Some people like to do less than basically 4 to 5 months, and then 5 to 6, and then 6+. This is pretty much always 6+, by the way. This right here. I like to err on this side. I feel like this is a more accurate representation, but some people really feel like, hey, if you got less than 5 months, I don't know a single seller that wants to be selling their house for 5 months, though, right? Selling for 3 months, that makes sense, right? The whole sales process itself takes 1 to 2 months. So if you're on market for a month or a month and a half, that makes sense. If you're on the market for longer than that, right, it may just not make sense to sell your house, or you might have to drop the price, or might have to. You're moving more into the neutral or buyer's market. So hopefully that's all been really helpful and helps you understand what does it actually look like to create comps on your property, how to then determine them. And this is a super rudimentary report. If I was using my realtor stuff, I would use RPR and pulled up this report here. I'd come in and I'd do a CMA, which is just as it's a comp. It's what we looked at, right? And so here are the comps that were pulled, and it includes ones that are like this. Yes, this one's including active ones in the default one that it's pulling. So saying, hey, cool, this one closed at 355, this one closed at 355, this one closed at 384. I could zoom out if I wanted to a little bit. Again, same thing. I would be able to come in here and go, all right, hey, look, here are some other ones. I could take out active, right? Again, do last 3 months. I would do 2 to 4 bedrooms. I would do, 1.5, 1.5 to 3.5. Living area. I know this is a 1,500 square foot, so I would do, ideally I'd do about, what is it? It's 1,500 minus 2, so that's 1,300. And then 1,500 plus 2 is 1,700. And then years built. So again, 1991 to 2011. I'm going to remove the actives in here. And same thing, right? So I could pull the same data. This is actually, if I had access to the MLS in this area, one of the reasons why I'm getting actually less data here is I don't have access to the MLS, but this is, it's still fairly close. This is giving some good information. Okay, cool. We got one at, it's going a little higher over here. This is great for our ability to come and say, hey, well, instead of paying $392, you can pay, in this case, $375. So hopefully it's giving you some good insight how to do this yourself, how to actually know what your property value is worth, and not just trust at face value what the Zillow Zestimate tells you your house is worth. It may be right. It totally may be right, but it very well may be wrong. And it can be up to there was a in my training, one of the stories that they shared was that I think it was the CEO of Zillow sold his house for 40% less than the Zestimate. So just kind of take that at face value. Like the Zestimate is not necessarily quite right. And if you want to get a glance and go, oh, hey, cool, right? It's probably plus or minus 10% in most cases. That's what I've seen it. Does that mean that that's exactly what it is? No, absolutely not, right? You've got a huge price range here as well. So this is the Zestimate, and then this is the range that they give based on that. It's like, oh, well, we're saying this, but really it's somewhere between 350 and 387 most likely, but it might even be higher than that, right? So like our neighbors sold their house for 399. That was what they went into the MLS. Like that was what the offer was. They dropped it down to 390 after some negotiation. They got it appraised at 380 and came back at 375, which is where ours is at. So we're hoping ours will appraise the same at 380 or higher. It just depends on a bunch of things, but that will give us a couple things, right? So we got 375. We listed it for that. We actually got an offer within a couple days, but we were hoping for some better ones. We didn't get anything better. We did get some that were the same, but we gave them first right, went back with them, and we're almost out of the window here. So super excited for the sale, and hopefully this has been educational and helped you figure out how you too can help get an idea for what your property is actually worth, or if you're a real estate professional, what your clients' properties are actually worth, and really get and drill down into it. Obviously, if you're a real estate agent, real estate professional, you have tools like RPR or other things that are available to you that can give you a more in-depth property report. If you want to get a property report from us, it doesn't matter where you are in the country, we can do this for you. I've got a bunch of other tools that have access to things that have access to a whole bunch of other things, but today I just showed Zillow and then RPR, which is what I would do inside of my market, right, where I am currently listed in Florida. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next video.